G'day guys, Tours20 here and welcome back to Parkitect. This is a bit of a sneaky episode that I didn't plan to release, but I ended up just kind of trimming the end of the last episode and the beginning of the next episode and making this little tiny one because I just sort of felt like the entrance to the park is, well, it just turns out so nice, and I'm really happy and proud of the way that this thing turns out that I think it deserved its own episode. And plus I did want to release an episode every week so that we can start getting closer and closer to opening up the park for our guests, which I can happily say it will be happening next episode. And next episode we'll be starting to build some rides too, and seeing people coming in and obviously losing a bit of money because nothing is totally working as it should be just yet. But you know, as soon as we start getting in some rides, then hopefully we can start making in some cash. But today we are working on this little entrance that I do think deserves its own little episode. I usually struggle with these entrances. I never really know how to create them, but this one just turned out really nice. My only complaint is its position because, and like I said in the last episode, I really wish that I could achieve a bit more symmetry within this entrance because we have two entrances, or at least two places where guests are coming from. We have the down, like the below area where the buses are dropping people off and the parking is, and then we also have the footbridge, which is directly opposite the ticket gate. So because we didn't, I guess if we had three areas, then we might get a bit of nice symmetry. Or if we just had the one, then we might be able to get a bit of nice symmetry. But unfortunately, because we've just got these two and they're coming on at different angles, then it makes it really hard to make an entrance that is, like dead set in the middle of basically the two pathways. Whereas instead, I was like trying to figure out how I was going to make it so that it was, felt like it was in between or in the middle of where the two paths meet. I really wish I could have done it diagonal. That would have been perfect, but unfortunately I just had to try to make do, and I figured the footpath going across the road would probably be the most most heavily used path. So I thought that would be the best one to actually have the two ticket gates at. You saw me try and squeeze in the ticket gate on a different sort of angle, but yeah, I decided just to go like this, and I do think it turned out pretty nice. So at first I thought I'd just have like the two ticket booths on either side, and then the main entrance. Once you buy the ticket, then you just sort of wander in. But then I ended up creating it's like a little bit of a main, like an admin building in the middle, and it kind of turns out a bit retro. Like I didn't expect it to be this sort of retro style, but once I created these main ticket booths, I was like, you know what, let's go for a bit of a retro 1950s style of architecture, and we'll just make that the main entrance for the park. And because we're doing that, I sort of thought, you know what, like let's go with a bit of a Hollywood vibe. So the main gate and the main entrance is going to be a bit reminiscent of Los Angeles, a bit reminiscent of Hollywood. And the story is that you're sort of like going into the movies. Obviously Hollywood being a place where they create a lot of movies, so you sort of go through the gates. You go through the the Hollywood gates, and you're in the studios, and then the movies come alive, or the shows come alive. And yeah, that's sort of like the idea. That's sort of the idea behind a lot of Universal Studios, and I just thought that sort of worked out quite nicely. So that is a sort of color scheme I'm going for. So we've got these golden, I guess that's sort of just yellow, but I feel like they're quite gold. These these trims on the walls, on the rooftops as well, which I think are really cool. And I also went for these palm trees too, which I think completes the area. An area that I was having the most trouble with was the ground. I tried to create a bit of a sidewalk because I do like creating sidewalks within this game. I think they add a lot to the atmosphere. However, because I was doing that, I also was trying to make smooth and curvy edges. So you can see me trying to create those curvy edges on, using some of the ploppable, what are these called? I think they're called like sidewalks or something, or ground covers. But they're quite good for like covering up these grounds and creating a bit more smooth and seamless transitions. But they're also a little bit tricky, and I don't think the pattern was really working. So it's a bit of a work in progress, this area. And you can see me struggling with the symmetry, trying to make it so that everything is, you know, somewhat of a like an entrance that doesn't drive people nuts, because I know a lot of you guys like the symmetry. So that's something that I'm going to continue to struggle with down the track. And obviously you guys have probably seen a bit of footage that I did in the last episode. Hopefully now we're sort of into new territory. And all those buildings at the front of the park, I think we're going to put first aid areas in there and another souvenir shop and probably some kind of, yeah, probably just got like more admin sort of buildings in there. There's actually these stairs going down. You can see that I created them at the beginning of the episode, and I really like it. They're going down to where I'm going to create like a whole backstage area where there's going to be a car park and stuff. I think it's going to be really cool when it's coming to life and you see a lot of people wandering around down there. It's yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. Now we're starting to work on the main entrance where people are going to be finally in the park, and this area I wanted to be a bit of like a downtown stretch. So it's going to be quite reminiscent of all those main streets that you find in the Universal Studios theme parks. So I would like the main street to feel like a road, like a street, like walking down Los Angeles, and then it would also have like other districts that are going to feel like New York or other places around the world. But I think I'll probably just create the main drags to really feel like that. Whereas when you get to, I would most probably be some sort of weenie in the park, something that's going to be in the main heart and center. I still haven't really quite decided what that's going to be yet, but I would love there to be like a real heart and center of the park. I recently watched Coaster Studios. He did a vlog when he went to Disney Sea, and they've got that big volcano there, which is just apparently just so amazing. And I just was like, you know what, we need to get something like that in our park. But I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. It could be a volcano, could be a mountain, could be, I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. If you have any suggestions, please let me know, because I would, love a bit of ideas. But that is much later on down the track. Now I'm starting to work on the backstage area, and I really love working on these backstage parts, especially when they start coming to life and you can see all the workers walking around. So I will make this very functional. So we'll put a staff room down here, I'll put a training facility, and it would just be cool to start seeing some cargo coming in and out of here. So I think I'll make sure that I place some sort of warehouse. So we are starting to get that those sort of things coming through. And I'm just sort of working with some of the ground covers again, just trying to create some curve areas. And you'll notice that I actually haven't used any paths for the road color. Instead, I've actually just painted it black, and then I'm using the paths just to cover it up into different shapes that look like some sort of car park. So this would be for you know, workers and stuff like that. And then I'll also have like a truck bay too. Not a huge amount of room to work with here, and I don't know, I'm half tempted to move or remove the train line. You know, just maybe I'm thinking about terminating it at the train station, but let me know what you think. But I am sort of running out of room back here, and it would be nice to have a little bit more backstage around this side. For some reason, I've made the park entrance very much on the left-hand side, like in the corner of the park, whereas it should be like in the middle. But for some reason, I haven't done that, and it's way too late to change where the position of the entrance is now. So unfortunately, I'll just have to stick with it. Actually, you know what? Something I did off camera, which none of you guys have had any idea about, but I actually created all this, including this build. And then I realized that I made the park too small, which meant that I had to make a whole new park, basically a whole new land. And I just made about 5 different blueprints of all this build and just copied them into the new park. So we're actually working with about double the amount of space that we're working with before, which obviously you guys didn't have any idea about it, but I have to let you know so you guys can imagine the pain. It took a while to copy and paste everything over and, you know, make sure that everything was there. And yeah, it was a real pain, but at least it's there. Now we have more space, and hopefully we're not going to run out of space, because that would have been really bad. But going back to the builds, I put down a truck there and a warehouse, and inside that warehouse we're going to have a place where the cargo can come in, and that way we can see staff members walking up and down the stairs and using these doors too, which I plan to put a lot of staff rooms and stuff inside so that we can see a lot of people wandering around. And I just put a bit of detail on these things, just making it look a little bit nicer back here, because you know, got to look after my workers in the park, of course. And the one thing that I really do love about back there is that it's just lower than the rest of the entrance, so that there is this like multi-layered, you know, landscape that we have, which I would like to continue throughout the rest of the park, because I do really like that look. But guys, that is pretty much it for today's episode. It was a short one, it was a sneaky one, it really was. I wasn't planning on releasing this one, it was tacked on to the rest of the other episodes, but I decided to release this as its own because I just think that the build was too good to not showcase. And I also want to release episodes a little bit more regular because, yeah, I'll enjoy Parkitect, but it does take just as much time as releasing the City Skylines episodes, would you believe? Because I do spend a lot of time flying around and trying to figure out where things are going to go. Next episode, it's a big one. We're going to be building a B&M hypercoaster. I bet you can figure out what type of coaster I'm going to create if I'm basing things off Universal Studios in Osaka. I'll let you guys figure that out for yourselves, but you guys will just have to wait and see in the next episode. Before I go, I do want to give a special shout outs to some of my patrons like The Engineer, Corey Mollett, and Vivid Swing. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!